Hello and welcome to Extraordinary with me, James Wallis, the podcast that shines a light on ordinary people who have gone on to do and see extraordinary things. And in this episode, I'm joined by Channel 4's Rise and Fall star. It's James Allen. Oh my God, so much to unpack.
You might know me from a show that was recently aired on Channel 4 called Rise and Fall. So it's very much a game of betrayal, game playing, manipulation. It's a bit of Big Brother mixed with I'm Celebrity and boardroom style The Apprentice. Everyone goes on TV for an agenda, right? You obviously go on there for some reason of wanting a following or wanting to win the money or both, right? Like I would have happily have done both, but didn't get either. But what is surprising is it was built up to us that it's going to be huge, it's going to be as big as the traitors, and like prepare yourselves to be like big, basically. And we all came out the show and like not that much has happened, rather than me being like, get ready with me to go and see Beyonce. That has 500 views, but then I have a rant about, you know, some guy standing me up in the holiday and it gets 100,000 views in a day. The more comments you get, whether it's hate, whether it's someone saying I love you, it pushes you on the FYP. So come at me. I probably was bullied. I had more friends who were girls. I would be scared to talk because I would say something and then they take the piss out of it. Like I'd answer a question in class and then the boys at the back would be like repeating what I said, but in a really high pitched voice. I'm ready to come out because I was in a relationship at the time and he couldn't come out for various religious reasons. Anyway, 4 years after that, it was an awful relationship. Toxic, cheated, narcissistic, gaslighting, mentally abusive. All of the above. It did get to the point where I basically ended up having to catfish him on Grindr. People are just happy to call you out and say, well, you're gay, what do you expect? Like, am I failing? No, I haven't really started yet.
Before we begin the show, please don't forget that this podcast is not sponsored or monetized in any way, which is why I've signed up to buymeacoffee.com that allows content creators like me to do a bit of crowdfunding to help contribute towards the ongoing costs and maintenance of running a podcast. If you did want to contribute a very small amount, I've set my price at just £3. You can find the link in the show notes below and in my link tree, which is across all of my socials. And one more thing, if you do enjoy this podcast, please don't forget to leave a rating or a review from wherever you're listening from. And indeed, if you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. It really does help keep the podcast keep going and growing. With that being said, and without any further ado, enjoy the show. So James Allen, welcome to Extraordinary Podcast. How are you?
Hello, James. Thank you for having me. I'm very good on this fine sunny day. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, it is a very fine and sunny day. So like summer's here, which gives me all sorts of anxiety because I am just like the furthest from Beachbody ready. So I know who you are because we've been chatting a little bit on social media. I don't really know how we kind of came across each other. I think it was TikTok. But for those that don't know who you are, tell us all who you are and what you do.
So you might know me from a show that was recently aired on Channel 4 called Rise and Fall. It was made by the people who made The Traitors, who were another popular hit show as well. So I currently still work a normal 9 till 5, but I feel like I'm living two lives at the moment because I'm running social media full time, doing lots of podcasts, doing lots of cool events and modeling now. And I also teach fitness as well, as a group exercise instructor. So I have a lot of strings to the bow then, let's say. And yeah, so I think that's where, if you don't know me, then obviously you're going to get to know me in this podcast. But if you know me from anywhere on social media, you might have seen a couple of my TikToks that have gone viral. A lot of my rants about the gay community have gone viral recently as well. So you might have seen me from there as well. So yeah, but you're going to get to know me a little bit better than some of my rants on TikTok.
And I'm gonna sort of delve into kind of social media and TikTok because obviously very keen to pick your brains on how you're managing that because I also have a full-time job and I don't see myself as a content creator in any way, but like I just know how much hard work and effort goes into it. And I'm almost, I wonder like what it's all for. So I'll pick your brains on that in a bit. Exactly. So like you said, you just come off the TV show Rise and Fall. For those that haven't watched it, and I know it was extremely popular, what is the premise?
So the premise of Rise and Fall is basically a simulation of real life Britain, what we're going through now in the 21st century, encapsulated in the game show. So you've got 16 people who all go into this one house, and then we were split into 6 rulers and 10 grafters. And those who were the rulers had the power, so they could decide what the grafters did, how much money the grafters could earn on something called work shifts. So they were the challenges that we had to do. And only the person who was the final standing ruler could win the prize fund. And in order to build the prize fund, the grafters had to do work shifts. So we got electrocuted, we had to eat dog food, we were oil riggers. Anything you could think of that was out of the box, we did. And the grafters had chances to rise to power and kick out those who were already in the penthouse with power. So it was very much a game of betrayal, game playing, manipulation, and lots and lots of bitchy backstabbing. But it's what we love. But you got to think it's a bit of Big Brother mixed with I'm Celebrity and boardroom style The Apprentice. So it's a very cutthroat.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it and I did love it. I was like, I could see the appeal. I mean, it's always interesting when there's a new TV show because you never know if it's going to be like an absolute flop or not. So there's always I guess a bit of a risk with, signing yourself up for something that no one knows about. So good on you for doing it. But on that point, I'm keen to understand what that whole journey, what that process looked like. How did it even come about? What was the audition process like? Was TV something you always wanted to do?
Yes, TV is something I've wanted to do for a very long time, actually. All my friends and family have said for the longest time, you've got the personality for TV, you need to be out there a bit more. So the process started maybe last year. So I applied for Married at First Sight. I almost got on that. They just couldn't find me a match. And then I almost got on The Apprentice. I got to the final 40 in the UK for The Apprentice. I was in London filming for 12 hours. We were in the boardroom style setting, doing all the challenges that you would see on The Apprentice. And obviously I didn't make it on that one. And I actually, last year, I quit my toxic corporate job, which I was doing a recruitment consultant, and I flew to Paphos the next day, which is in Cyprus, to just work out there as a fitness trainer the day after. And I saw Rise and Fall was advertised. So I thought, oh, well, I've got nothing else to do. I've got 5 weeks. I'm unemployed. When I go back home, I might as well just apply for a TV show. So applied for the show and, got through all the audition stages, got through 10,000 other people who applied and got to the original 16.
10,000 people applied.
So 10,000 people applied, but that doesn't count the people who also were sort of scouted for the show.
Wow. So were you kind of on the wanted list for which production company did it? Was it Studio Lambert?
Studio Lambert, yes. The ones who made The Traitors, the ones who did The Circle. Yeah, they do Race Across the World as well. So they do loads of quite big shows.
Yeah, I mean, big reveal here. I got through to the final stages of Race Across the World. Yeah. And I got through to the final 10 couples. Obviously, only 5 make it. But I know how exhilarating and exciting it is to sort of go through those audition process, do the screen tests, do the camera shots and fill out visa forms. It was really, really exciting. I was absolutely gutted when we didn't get it.
How was the audition process for that, by the way? What did you have to do for that?
So the audition process was a lot of, obviously you had to fill out an online form and then you have to do a camera, kind of a piece to camera using just your laptop and almost kind of like an audition tape. Yeah. Obviously talk about why you want to be on it. This was back in 2019, so it was a while ago. Wow. And then we got called in for a face-to-face interview with the producers and the casting directors. And then you get to go. Then at that point, we didn't know kind of how many people they were taking in. Yeah. But it turned out that we were actually already in the final 10. We had to do a lot of phone interviews as well. And then they filmed us in London, trying to get as far away from London as possible. So obviously the premise is you've got to obviously checkpoints with Race Across the World. So we had to, the starting point was outside Studio Lambert's office. They were like, right, give us your phone, give us your wallet. Your task for today is to get as far away from London as possible with no phone and no money. So that was, again, super fun. But with all... No money. Yeah, no phone, no money. So you just had to hitchhike or hustle or beg, borrow, steal, do whatever it is that you needed to do. It turns out, I got pretty far. I got back to where I live in Hertfordshire for free. And I made a cameraman and a producer join us on the journey. But we never really got a clear explanation as to why we didn't get it. But we think it's to do with demographics and diversity, and there was already 2 guys on it, and blah 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 blah. So it's just luck of the draw with these things. But like I said, I totally get the excitement and the exhilaration associated and attached to that process of like auditioning, and it's really fun.
Yeah, it was wild. But do you know what? A little bit of tea before we move on. So the week getting called up. So the Monday, so I was called up on the Thursday, to go and obviously film the show. So then we had to go to London on the Friday to isolate for COVID. And then the Monday of that week, they called me at like 5 o'clock and was like, "I'll just let you know you're not going to go through to the final stage of obviously being on the show." So I had nothing prepared. I had no clothes. I didn't have a haircut booked or like anything booked to think, right, I need to get myself sorted for work or get myself sorted to, go on a TV show. Thursday, 10 o'clock, I'm in work. I had this phone number ring me. Like, oh, they're like, hi, this is so-and-so from Rise and Fall for Studio Land, but we would love you on the show. Like, we've changed our mind. Like, we don't want to do it without you. Like, can you get to London tomorrow? And I was like, what? Pack 3 weeks worth of clothes to be a ruler, which I haven't done. I took extras. I was so stressed, but yeah, it was worth.
Sorry, just explain that bit again. They said they rejected you already, and then they changed their mind.
On Monday, and then on the Thursday, they were like, "We've changed our mind. Like we've like looked at we've looked at the groups of people we've got, or like we just really want you to be part of it."
Oh my god, it's so bullish, isn't it? They just like fuck you around.
Yeah.
So what did you go? Did you drive to Zara and like do a big shot?
What did I do? Well, I didn't prepare clothes. Like I thought I'm going to manifest this anyway. So I did do a huge clothes order 2 weeks before the actual final date, just to make sure. But I was still stressed. So I was they went to River Island the next day or in the night then after work, H&M. I was running around Newport trying to go to Boots, buy teeth whitening strips. I was doing everything ready to be ready for TV because it was just I was like, I don't know what I'm going to need.
That's so exciting though. And I get you had to keep it a secret, I'm assuming.
Well, we had to keep it a secret for a little bit, but then whilst we were filming the show, it was already airing on TV, so it wasn't that much of a secret.
Oh, was it live streaming?
It was did you ever watch The Circle?
Bits and pieces. I wasn't.
So the Circle was then in a similar sense, where they'd film the night before, and they'd air it the night after. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Got it. It's like Big Brother. Yeah,
that was wild.
Sounds fun. So what was looking back now? Well, it hasn't been that long, I guess. How has that TV experience been? Because in my head, TV, a reality TV in particular, isn't what it used to be. It used to be even as recently as the first 6-7 series of Love Island. You'd go in and you'd come out with 1 million followers. You would become pseudo famous just by being on Love Island. But I guess so much has happened now on TV. Britain's Got Talent, X Factor, Married at First Sight. There's so many programs out there. I guess it's not the same, or is it? You tell me.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think everyone goes on TV for an agenda, right? You obviously go on there for some reason of wanting a following or wanting to win the money, or both, right? I would have happily done both, but didn't get either at that point. But it's a very strange feeling because I think because we were compared to The Traitors a lot, and that was a massive show that I don't think much will live up to that for a very long time. Even season 2 of The Traitors, I'm not sure if it could, just because it was such a mammoth show. But what is surprising is it was built up to us that it's going to be huge, it's going to be as big as The Traitors. Prepare yourselves to be big, basically. And we all come out the show, and not that much has happened for a lot of the cast. Some of the cast has been signed to management. I've luckily been signed to management, and I've done quite a lot since then, going to events, doing, been signed to a modeling agency for more TV work. I've done loads of podcasts, loads of interviews. I've done a little bit of branded stuff, but it's more gifted than paid at the moment. So the idea that I had in my head is there, it's happening, but not where I thought it was going to be. Does that make sense? There's a little bit of graft that has going to have to have gone into this to actually make exposure for myself.
And why do you think that was? Why was there such a disconnect between expectations and reality?
I think, well, first of all, reality TV is diluted. It's so saturated, right? We were stuck in between 2 reality shows a night. So it was one reality show, Rise and Fall, and another reality show, basically. And there was a lot going on. There was a lot of going on TV, a lot of things for people to watch. And people probably aren't that interested in people's lives from TV to the real world, where like, and I think social media has moved from being that perfect morning girly girl, do you know, like that get ready with me, to wanting to know the trials and tribulations people actually go through on the outside and the real world. I think people want to know the real person, and that's what does better on social media for me, I've found, rather than me being like, get ready with me to go and see Beyonce. That has 500 views, but then I have a rant about, you know, some guy standing me up in the holiday and it gets 100,000 views in a day. Do you know what I mean? So I think people are more interested in people's real lives.
Yeah, I'm obviously, I know you follow me, but we follow the same content themes, and I think I share the same views that actually it's the real gritty stuff.
Yes.
That performs the best, but that's to be expected. You know, it's obvious when you say it out loud that the more vulnerable you are, the more real and authentic you are, the better the content performs.
You'd be surprised. I put a video out the other day of me being like, I've had a bad mental health day. Like, I don't suffer with mental health. Like, don't get me wrong, and I acknowledge I've had a bad day, but I literally just was open and honest, doing my skincare because I was getting ready for bed anyway. So I'm gonna just video this and post it and see what happens. I think it had like 10,000, 11,000 views, which is not too bad, nothing major. And then even people on there are like, the other day you were posting about how happy you are, and now you're like this, you're just doing it for views, or you're just doing it to be. I was like, well, no, not really, because if I was doing things for views, I'd go out and try and like, you know, make stupid shit content all the time and do like out of the box stuff. I'm literally sitting in my bed, putting my skincare on, saying like, I'm not having a very good day. This is why, but just so you know, it's all right. You will get over it, or you'll get. Do you know what I mean? But people have got something to pick on all the time.
Yeah. I kind of like it though. I always thought, you know, when I started making content and like, I had my first experience of just like hate, my friends were like, "Oh, are you sure you like are into that?" And I'm like, I kind of like it. I kind of enjoy like answering back and like letting people hear what they've got to say. But I do see it online. You know, I scroll through TikTok and I go into the comment section, and some people are absolutely merciless and brutal out there.
Yeah.
So I do think you've got to have like super thick skin if you want to put your head above the parapet.
Yeah, that's it. And at the end of the day, like, the more comments you get, whether it's hate, whether it's someone saying I love you, it pushes you on the FYP. So come at me. I'm happy to take it. Yeah, I'm happy to take it, to be fair.
Yeah, I see your tactics. You're not fooling anyone when you reply to the comments as well and just kind of keep those flames alive.
Yeah, replying with a video. Why not? It's funny. People will reply. People will reply.
No, I know. I completely agree. So that's actually a nice segue then, because one of the things that you are very open and honest about is your sexuality. Obviously, it's great that we have more representation on TV. I actually did a TikTok yesterday about it because it was a year anniversary since Jake Daniels came out. I know it's like we're bigging it up to be like such an event, but like he is the only professional footballer that is out in the UK. So like, why not celebrate it?
Yeah, of course.
So tell me about your relationship with your sexuality, your coming out, how long you've been out, what your views are. Tell me a little bit about your love life, maybe.
Okay, right. This will be 45 minutes. No, I'm joking. So long story short, I knew I was different from the rest of the boys when I was like 13 or 14. Definitely around that age is when obviously people start to get into relationships or start talking about girls and all that jazz. The usual school stuff. And then I was like, I can't agree, but I'm gonna have to at the minute because I don't know how I feel and why I feel like this. Anyway, so, and like in school, I wouldn't like to say I was bullied, but I probably was bullied for like, I had more friends who were girls. Like, my voice wasn't as deep as the rest of the boys in my year group, and like I was scared to talk because I would say something and then they take the piss out of it, or like I'd answer a question in class and then the boys at the back would be like repeating what I said but in a really high pitched voice, and that was quite, and that happened for quite a long time. So that sort of dimmed my voice a little bit. And then 20 is when I actually thought, you know what, I'm ready to come out, because I was in a relationship at the time and he couldn't come out for various religious reasons and his parents not agreeing with obviously the gay community. So I came out because I thought, well, I want us to have a safe space in my home, because my mum and dad, I knew would be okay with it, basically. So I came out and then had a 4-year relationship based off of that. But like, I was hidden from him, from his family. So the only safe haven was really going to my family's house and doing things with my family and, and things like that. But that's basically the reason I came out, is because I snuck him in the house the one night, and and my mum and dad were there, but they were asleep, and we were on a night out. I said, just come in and we'll be fine. Just come to the house. And I had to like sneak him out then at like 5 o'clock in the morning before they woke up, so they didn't see it. I remember like crying to him in the night then, being like, I just hate the fact I've got to hide you. Like I hate, like I'm in love, like I love you. I think you're the best thing since sliced bread, and I want my family to know who you are. So I came out then. Anyway, 4 years after that, it was an awful relationship. Awful relationship, toxic, cheating, narcissistic, gaslighting, mentally abusive, all of the above. But I'm here and thriving.
Oh my God, so much to unpack. Like,
Yes,
okay, so was he older? Was he younger?
he was younger. So so he'd be 25 now, not like he's dead. He's 25. But a year
Right.
younger, yeah. He's definitely, he's a year younger. I'll go into it because you can keep whatever you want to keep in, but he was half Turkish, half Bulgarian. So very Muslim-esque vibes and things like that. And don't get me wrong, like I still sympathize for the situation because like his mum and dad at one point were like saying to him, if you don't find a girlfriend, we're going to kick you out of the house. Whilst he was with me. So he's obviously under all this pressure.
Yeah.
But someone who's under a lot of pressure, they were happy to go on Grindr and cheat on me multiple times, and also gaslight me into thinking I was the problem. Gaslight me into thinking he tried to treat the relationship like a Turkish or Bulgarian style relationship. So it was like, you can't be out the house past 10 o'clock. You can't wear tight stuff. You can't post this. You can't post that. And he's like, I don't want to be friends with you on Facebook because all the other gay people who are friends with me will find you and want you. And very, very like, very much gaslighty, very narcissistic. And yeah, so that was quite a lot. But at the end of the day, I'm very thankful I went through it because it has made me to where I am right now to be a little bit more savage, but just to know like what I can go through, I will go through it and thrive, whatever is going to happen to me. Because it was a tumultuous relationship, 4 years of my life. I will never get back. And it's just 4 years of like having your light dimmed by somebody who has no right to even whisper your name anymore. That's sort of how I feel about it. And I just sort of wish I could look back and think, okay, I should have got out of it sooner. But then when you do love somebody, you are shrouded by the umbrella of love, isn't it? You know it's not right, but also because you love someone, you can't just get out of it because it's emotion, it's feeling, it's a chemical response in your brain, right? That you can't just cut off. So it's hard. It's hard. It was hard.
On reflection, based on everything you just said, I can't help but wonder if it was love. Like, what do you sit here now in 2023 and say, yeah, you were in love? Because it sounds like it was sort of based on lots of toxic traits that don't sound very lovely.
Yeah, it's definitely towards the end of the relationship when things are just sort of going, when cracks start to form and they just either come back together or they just get bigger. The cracks in the relationship just got bigger and bigger and bigger. But for the time that we were together, I think I did love him, but it got to the point where I started to fall out of love with him when I was sick of the treatment. And we'd have these conversations, we'd have the arguments, we'd stop speaking to each other, he'd block me, or I'd have to chase him for something. It got to the point where I was like, I'm tired of this. Like, I'm worth so much more than this childish game. But it did get to the point where I basically ended up having to catfish him on Grindr to meet me in a car park as someone else because he was just looking for sex on Grindr all the time. And I had no idea. So me and my friend made this fake Grindr account, and we were sat in this car. We were sat in my friend's car. So we were like, what name should we have? So it was a Clio in front of us. So I went, oh, Liam Clio. That's a really good name, isn't it? That's like, that's quite a good name. Anyway, so catfished him because his pictures were everywhere. People were sending me his pictures. I was like, whoa, okay, like I need to see it for myself because I was still like, nah, this can't be it, even though obviously it was. So went to this car park, went in my friend's car because obviously he would have known what my car looked like. And I thought, even to that point, I was like, it could just not be him. It could not be him. Even though before he went out to meet said person, he called me and was like, I'm going to just let you know I'm going to bed early, so I won't have my phone on me. And I'm going to stay because I got to be up really early tomorrow. I was like, oh, that's fine, no problem. Like, I'll speak to you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. I was like, anyway, good night, love you. 10 minutes later, driving his little car into Morrison's car park to come and meet said person. I'm all Grindr messaging him going, oh yeah, come to this blue Audi. This is the car I'm in. It gets halfway across the car park and I just see red. I get out of that car and I'm like, you're lying, cheating asshole. Who the fuck do you think you are, ruining my life for 4 years? You know what he did? He ran
You're going
away.
to say he denied it.
He ran to his car and just drove off.
Oh my God.
Ran to his car and just drove off. So yeah, that's sort of how the relationship came to head. But even after that, loads of stuff came out from the woodwork. So like I ended up, don't know why I did it. I logged into his Instagram to know how I managed to do it. Because I just
we've all been there. Yeah.
Like for a good few months. So I'm gonna lie, I literally was like wanting to ruin his life. Didn't, wanted to. And there was things like he was saying when he was like, oh, I'm out with my best friends. His then best friend was also asking to sleep with him for Balenciaga or Ivy Park. And if you buy me stuff, I'll sleep with you. If you do this, I'll sleep with you. Yeah, wild, right? Wild. And then a couple months later after that, then I had people messaging me on social media and Grindr being, oh, just to let you know, I know you and your boyfriend have broke up, but we have had sex since you were in your 4-year relationship, and he would come over all the time, do what he needs to do, and go. I was like, what, for the entire time? They were like, yeah, for the entire time. But it was on Grindr, so I was on Grindr at the one time, and it's a faceless profile. It just messaged me and said, I know you're not together with so-and-so. This is what happened. We've done this multiple times, but I thought I'd tell you now you're not together. And I was like, thanks for telling me now we're not together. I really appreciate the fact that you've got my back now. So,
do you know what? I would love to tell you that this is like a really unique story and I've never heard it before, but unfortunately it is pretty textbook with kind of narcissists and really damaged people. I mean, I have had similar experiences, not anywhere near as kind of dramatic as kind of what you've just described, but certainly I've been in a position where you're made to feel like you're the psycho, you're being gaslighted, you're being needy, and you're led to kind of be the chaser, almost like, and that is like classic narcissism where you're led to, you know, there's kind of this emotional mental abuse where they like keep you on a leash almost, where you like, they try and get you to worship them in some way, and it's so fucked up. But I really appreciate you sharing that story because I'm pretty sure that people would like to hear that, and that will be pretty powerful to some people.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, like I can laugh about it now, joke about it now. I'm happy to have a laugh on a podcast about it. But when I was going through it, it wasn't just like a week and then I got over it. It took me like a good year to get over the trauma of the relationship, but also the trauma of finding out someone you with cheats on you in that aspect. But then all of the other stuff comes out of the woodwork about them and what they've been doing with other people, what they say about you, what they've said about you. And it did make, I still have huge trust issues, but because I was with someone for so long and they were able to pull the wool over my eyes for so long and make me feel so worthless and believe the only worth that I had was from them, you know, it took me a while to build that back up, and it really did. And there was times where I sat down with my mum and dad and I did say like, look, and this was all in lockdown, by the way. I said, mum and dad, like, I'm not going to do anything to myself, but I have had thoughts and having thoughts about doing things just to maybe make things a little bit easier on myself. I'm not going to, but I want to let you know that I need to have a conversation with you about it.
Wow.
So, yeah.
How did that go down?
Well, my mum's suffered with mental health as well. She's suffered with depression and anxiety. So she sort of understood where I was coming from. My dad's very much more like steel, do you know what I mean? Like he's very like, oh, you'll get over it, you'll be fine. Just plod along, you'll be absolutely fine. But we were in lockdown, I wasn't working, I was self-employed at the time, so I was basically on universal credit. And the only way I sort of got out of it was I applied to go and be a fitness trainer in Canada in a summer camp. So the day we sort of, a couple of days after we broke up, I thought I need to get out of this country. I need to get out of Newport. I need to get out of Wales. I saw this post come up about working in Canada for 3 months in the summer. So I left. So the breakup happened in January. I left in June and didn't come home until September.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, to find myself.
But it sounds like quite positive. Yeah, you went to find yourself, but obviously fitness, is fitness something that's really important to you? I know you talk about skincare a lot, but not so much the fitness.
Yeah, so do you know what? The reason I don't talk about fitness too much is because one, I don't look like the typical person who does fitness. Like I'm fit, I am healthy, but I haven't got the abs. I haven't got the huge bulging biceps. I never have. I would love it. I'm trying to get there, but life hasn't God doesn't bless you with a body that gets that easy. And the reason, and I haven't done it before because I have had it with like, oh, you don't look like you teach fitness, or you don't look like you're a personal trainer. Like I've had it a lot in the, like more in the gym environment itself, not on social media as such, but I find, I like to do it because it's more of a hobby. I would love to do fitness more as a mass scale because of what it could do for people. But I talk more about skincare because one, people say how good my skin is all the time. Two, brands, why not? Come at me. Obviously, it's got to be done. It's got to be done. But it's a huge passion of mine because mental health is so important to me. And I find skincare for my mental health is one of the best things I can do because I have no time to stop and think about my own brain sometimes. So doing skincare for 5 to 10 minutes, it means I can think about myself for 10 minutes.
I hate that you feel like there's some sort of shame or, you don't feel like you look or sound the part for fitness. Because I feel like the fitness industry, and it's something that I've talked a lot about on this podcast in particular, is like, it is so toxic. Like the beauty standards and the body image standards, if for men in particular, when you go online or your Instagram explore page, and if you've like Googled or researched anything to do with fitness, all you get served is kind of like weightlifting by these like fitness influencers, and they are shredded. And I love that for them. And to your point, I'm the same. Like God has other plans for like my hips and my like chest area. But like I wasn't blessed with those genes. But I just feel like it's just so unattainable. And like I have a million and one other things going on in my life, podcast, photography. I've got a 9 to 5 as well. I date, I have relationships, friendships. I get my hair cut occasionally. Like I just feel like to get those bodies that these people have, it's like a full-time job in itself that I don't have.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And do you know what? Some people who will listen to this will hate me for saying it, but the people I talk to in my local gym who are like, oh, like I look like this because of steroids. And it's, I'm not saying everyone does it because you can get that way with hard work, graft, the right nutrition, obviously over a very long period of time. But some people are very open and honest about the fact they do use things to enhance their bodies in an unnatural way. And that is something that I would never do because I haven't got a dream to look like a Greek god. Don't get me wrong, I'd love a six-pack and a triceps and biceps and all that. But at the end of the day, like there's more to life than having a body fat that's below 10%, but being unhappy and miserable, hungry. Like some women in the industry who do bodybuilding, they get to that point of their physique. Like they don't have periods. Like their menstrual cycle stops. Like their chemical makeup of their body stops working because of their nutrition is so poor to look a certain way for 10 minutes on stage.
So true. And same with men on steroids, by the way. I don't think people talk enough about the side effects, and they are pretty big. I know people in my gym, people who I know went to uni with, they were on steroids and it just completely fucked up their mental health, their mood, their skin, fertility, testosterone levels, all sorts of things. But also I can't help but wonder, and this again comes back to like so many issues I have with the LGBT community, gay men in particular, where hench ripped six-pack equals desirable, and therefore we're all chasing this kind of body image and standard that is so ridiculous and unnatural.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stigma, and I think for you and I, definitely, we're in a lot of well, obviously we're both gay. So are you gay? Yeah, or bi? How do you?
Gay.
Okay, all right, of course. I didn't want to. I was like, what are you? But yeah, so we're both in a community that is unfortunately toxic, and I'm learning the toxicity of it is worse than it ever has been after coming off the show. But also, the fitness industry.
Really?
Yeah.
The you have to tell me about that.
Yeah, the fitness industry is meant to be like love and light and health and fitness and mental health and exercise for your endorphins. But when you get the nitty gritty of what it is, it's a business, and the best of the best get the most money because of how they look. And these fitness influencers don't necessarily have the qualifications or the actual knowledge or skills to talk to you and teach you how to do these, how to adapt fitness and nutrition to yourself. But they do it to themselves, and it's worked. And not one size fits all. And that's what a lot of people don't understand when they see an Instagram post of someone with abs after 8 weeks. That could not have been 8 weeks. That could have been 8 months ago. But you don't know. everything's fake on social media. So there needs to be a broken stigma. But then it goes back to me saying, okay, well, I've now got a platform. Why am I not trying to break the stigma? That's probably because I'm very conscious of my body because I've gone through being overweight. And I'm where I am now. I'm happy with how I look and how I feel. But knowing if someone was to say one thing about me, it would it would flick a switch in my brain that would make me think, right, okay, I need to completely change what I look like. I don't want one person's opinion to make me feel any less than what I am. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's that, because I also was an overweight kid. So I definitely subscribe to that idea that like once a fat boy, always a fat boy. Like you have fat boy mentality and that never really leaves you. So you always view yourself as overweight.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish sometimes I was a little bit more sensitive to your point. If someone was to say, James, you're looking a bit big, now I'm like, oh yeah, I don't care. Like I need another dairy milk. Whereas a couple of years ago before lockdown, I'd be like, oh my God, get me in the gym. Like, and I would be on it. But like I say, I just don't have capacity for it anymore. Like it's just on my list of things that I want to do. I know it's important, but it's not, for whatever reason, I have like a psychological challenge with making myself sort of focus on it. But talk to me about kind of like this toxicity that you just mentioned in the gay community since coming off the show. Has something happened in particular, or is it just a general vibe that you're getting from social?
Yeah. So before I went on the show, I've never been like, so like I never used to go gay clubbing a lot, but I've gone gay clubbing a few times. They're just like, I'm not the stereotypical gay person as such that people think we are. So, you know, I'm not always on dating apps. I'm not always on Grindr on the lookout for a hookup. Don't get me wrong, we all have needs, we all have urges. Go get it. Do what you've got to do, right? But since coming out and being a bit more open on social media and posting videos about relationships or red flags or toxic situations I've been in, people are just happy to call you out and say, well, you're gay, what do you expect? Or this is Grindr, what do you expect? Or you expect to be treated in the right way when you're looking for a hookup? Or, or you've got a lot of problems, why are you talking about this? Like, there's just so many, it's just a hypocritical thing to do because we're in a minority group. The gay community are a minority. There's probably more of us, but people obviously aren't open and out about it. So why in a minority not support each other and break a stigma or break a tradition of you're gay, you're going to go and get a shag, and then you're going to get forgotten about? Why not break that stigma and find a level of self-respect between us all, right? And be treated in a better way. Why do we need to be catfished for pictures? Why do we need to be set up for failure? Why do we need to be set up for trust issues? But people accept it. And that's what I've written in my comments in a lot of my videos is, what do you expect? We're this, we're that. Do you know, like, that's what has blown my mind.
Do you feel as though because you've been on TV, people are out to get you more so than you were before?
Yes, definitely. And I think people are willing to do whatever they need to do to pull you down. Like, that TV show is 1% of my life, to be completely honest. Like, I was on that show for 3 weeks, on TV for 3 weeks. Or not even 1%, do you know what I mean? So for people, and people would be like, oh, you've done one TV show and you think you're this, or you've done one stint on a show and you think you're that. Like, I don't even know who you are. It's like, okay, that's fine, but I'm on your FYP. I don't care if you don't know who I am, but clearly you've listened to my video long enough to be triggered by something. So, yeah.
And then they've written a comment as well.
Yeah, people are happy to tear anyone down with a level of a platform, but then what the people who message me privately on Instagram or TikTok. So whenever a video of mine goes viral, when it comes, I say viral, like just loads and loads of views, they find my Instagram and they message me privately and say, thank you so much for talking about that, because not many people do. I appreciate what you're saying because I completely feel the same and I've been through that, and keep doing what you're doing. However, the majority of the comments aren't that. The majority of the comments are the ones who are just happy to shit on your parade, really.
Really? To people? Are you saying that over 50% of the reaction is negative?
I would say a lot of the receptions is either negative or just very shady and bitchy. Do you know what I mean? It's not necessarily someone trying to be, oh, well, you're just an idiot. Like, why would you go and do that? It's very much like, oh, well, you've learned your lesson now. And it's stuff like, well, okay, thanks, Dad. Thanks, time I've learned my lesson. I'm aware I've learned my lesson. But also, you're missing the point of what I'm trying to say. It's not about me. I'm sharing what I've just gone through, which is very minuscule, right? It's not the end of the world what I went through, but to create some level of awareness, like, let's break the stigma of being treated in this way. People miss the point and jump down your throat because they think, oh, it's just another gay person talking about woe is me.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I wonder if it is because you are like, it's just people's bitterness, and people love an underdog. And if you've been seen to have the privilege of being on TV, to get a platform, whatever, people will come at you and, to your point, try and bring you down. That is interesting. Maybe I won't reapply for anything ever. Although it was my lifelong dream to be on Big Brother, but I think that ship sailed already.
Well, it's coming back in November. You never know. And if at the end of the day, if you want to go and do it, go and do it. Like, it's not. If you allow the people to bother you and affect you, like, don't get me wrong, like last week and this week has been a lot for me mentally, where I think, oh, what's the point of me doing anything like this? Because one, sometimes it doesn't seem like it's going to take off, or two, there's lots of negativity behind it. But then at the same time, like, I feel like I've been put here for a purpose, to be to do a lot for the masses, as cringe as it might sound. So there's something pushing me in my mind all the time saying, no, keep posting, keep talking about how you feel, keep talking about what you're going through, positive, negative, all the rest of it, all the skincare that I do, the makeup that I do, the come with me to do whatever. That is a byproduct of the life that I'm living, because that's what I want to live. But my experiences are more important to share because other people can identify with that. Even though I am a cisgendered white male in a very, nice area of where I live, like, I get where I come from. I get my privilege. I get it. Don't get me wrong. Someone made a comment on one of my TikToks the other day, a poor white boy having some mental health issues. It's like, okay, but I was like, I didn't talk about my skin color. I didn't talk about where I came from. I talk about a mental health issue that I was having, that we all suffer with. See, mental health doesn't care if you're black or you're white, if you're gay or you're bi, it affects you. And that's what I was trying to get at. But they just said, oh, you're a white boy going to mental health, poor you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know where to go with that. I just feel like we are getting to the point where people do take it too far, and, to invalidate someone's feelings because of their skin color, I would argue is, just as bad as sort of pointing out someone's skin color for the wrong reasons as well. So
yeah, of course.
Interesting. So what is your relationship with social media now? Like, is it like, I know we talked about at the beginning, like it being a little bit of a long slog. It's like, what's this all for? I know I certainly feel like that. I try and remain true to kind of why I started, which was basically to market the podcast and do a bit of personal branding for myself as a podcast host. But there's so many creators just like plowing away and trying to get those big hits, and it's almost like a bit of a game to me. It feels like you're trying to like trick the system and hack the system to get the next viral bit of content. And sometimes I sit there in bed and I'm like, why am I doing this? What's it all for?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say it like that, because I can imagine every content creator, no matter how big you are, no matter how many followers you have, probably all have the same thought of, okay, when's this going to end? When am I going to get to the point where I feel satisfied with what I'm posting, what I'm doing, what I'm achieving? Because at any point, especially when you're self-employed, you can have the rug pulled from under you, right? But it's hard, especially when there's billions of videos going out every second. However, the thing that I stay true to myself is, you are the only person who has your voice, your experiences, and that's going to resonate with more than just one person. And the universe is expansive enough and big enough for everybody and everybody's, life choices. So just keep going. You have to just keep going. If it's your dream and if it's something that's pushing you, you've got to keep going with it. And that's the advice I can give you, because that's the advice I give myself every day.
Aww.
Especially when I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? That's have 500 views, or I don't know what to do. Like the followers aren't going up, or, oh crap, no one's asked me to do something this week. Shit. Like, am I failing? No, I haven't really started yet. The work, when it ramps up, that's when the work begins. But this is just like, we're set at the blueprint for ourselves still. And that's what you've got to think.
How poetic. Love that. So listen, we're coming to the end now. And one thing that I ask all my podcast guests to do is to write a letter to their younger selves. Is that something that you've prepared today?
I have indeed.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. Are you going to read it out?
Read it out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because sometimes people read it out. Sometimes people like have it off by heart, but I prefer the ones that are being read out because, you know, you thought about it. There we go. Or on the notes app.
It's a tad long. So you might cut whatever you want to cut for the length of the podcast.
No, I love the long ones.
All right. All right then, yeah.
That was a very delayed reaction.
All right. To James. You are blessed to have the family and friends you have, and remember to thank them for supporting you in your adventures. You have always known you were different from your friends or family because you wanted to be an actor or a star from the word go. Hold on to what makes you different because that is what makes you unique and the light that so many people need from you now. From your sisters dressing you up in their red and white polka dot dresses and dancing to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to being bullied in school for having friends who are girls, your voice being different from the rest of the boys, and being asked if you were gay on a daily basis, and people from your school messaging you on Facebook to just come out of the closet. You have been through so much from a young age that not many people know about. But that's okay because those who know are now your ride or dies. I'm so proud of you for putting up with all of that and not letting it break you, or be forced to make a decision of who you are, or by people who now mean nothing to you. You may have known that you liked boys from when you were 13 or 14, but made the decision to change your life for the better at 20 and show the world who you are and what you bring. You are one of one. James, this is the important bit, and make sure you're listening. There will be people in your life who you put your love and trust in, who will break your heart, break your soul, and make you feel worthless and question whether is life worth living and make you believe you're the problem. These people will do everything in their power to dim your light and make you stop believing your voice matters, and that star you once wanted to be is pointless and you don't matter. These people are a test and a blip in the road, and from time to time, the universe will place these people in your life to test whether you learn your lessons. And I'll let you in on a secret, you pass every single time. This may sound shocking to you, but you'll be so thankful you allowed these people into your life because you did not allow this to happen. You didn't allow someone else's darkness shroud your light, and you remain a lighthouse guiding people on their path and proving time and time again what you want, you will get because the fire burns stronger and brighter than those who try and put it out. Your life path won't take you from A to B, and that's okay. I want you to appreciate your journey, your growth, your glow up, and the person you will be. You will be everything you want and dreamed of because he is kind, caring, hardworking, loyal, and he still remains one of one, the only one. Oh, and one more thing. Beyonce will be your idol, so start learning love on top.
Oh. Great ending. That's amazing. I love how much thought and emotion and time went into that. How did you find the process of writing it?
I loved it. At first, I thought, I'm not going to have a clue what I'm going to say. And then it just sort of all the emotions came back of how I felt when I was 13 or 14 or when I was 16, 17 being bullied and then coming out and going through everything. So yeah, it was nice just to relive and be like, okay, you've done that. You're good. You can go in.
And you are, and you should be really proud of everything that you're doing. And although I feel like this sometimes as well, like some days it feels like it's not where you need it to be. But I think as time will tell, it's all about the journey, not the destination anyway, because there's always more you can be achieving. So you've just got to enjoy the ride. Listen, James, I loved our conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And if you're ever in London, we can meet up and have a bev or two.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me. And I appreciate you taking your time out and putting me on your extraordinary podcast.
Oh, my pleasure. You are extraordinary after all. So thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
See you soon. Bye.
All right.
Thank you, as always, for taking the time out to listen or watch this podcast. It really is appreciated. And a huge thanks goes out to James for being so open and honest and indeed being so vulnerable throughout this conversation. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and I will see you very soon.